Let's face it, when we're young, saving money usually isn't a top priority. In our teens and early 20s, we're often focused on finishing school, getting that first job, maybe traveling a little, or just trying to enjoy life without stressing too much about the future. But here's the reality check: the money you save, or don't save, at every stage of your life can have a massive impact on your financial freedom later on. And it's not just about saving for retirement at age 65. It's about building options for yourself, the freedom to leave a job you hate, the power to handle emergencies without going into debt, the ability to take a break, travel, start a business, or even retire early if you want to. All of that starts with how well you save now, and it's tied directly to your age. So why does saving by age actually matter? Because of compound interest. And if you've ever heard someone say that compound interest is like magic, it's not an exaggeration. Let me explain. When you invest money, not only do you earn interest on your original amount, but you also start earning interest on the interest. And over time, that growth starts to snowball. But here's the catch: the earlier you start, the more powerful this effect becomes. Imagine this: if you start investing $300 a month at age 25 and keep going until you're 65, assuming a 7% return, you'll have over $760,000. But if you start at 35 with the same amount, you'll only have around $360,000. That's a $400,000 difference, all because you waited 10 years. That's why time is your biggest ally, especially when you're young. The longer your money sits and grows, the less you actually have to save each month to reach the same goal. But it's not just about starting early. It's also about tracking your progress as you age. Knowing how much you should have saved at a particular age gives you a clear benchmark. It tells you whether you're ahead of the game, falling behind, or right on track. Think of it like a GPS for your financial life. If you're just driving aimlessly with no destination, you'll end up lost. But if you check in regularly, you can make the right turns, speed up when needed, or slow down if you're comfortably ahead. Now, some people say, well, I'll start saving once I earn more. And yes, income absolutely helps, but that mindset can be a trap. Lifestyle inflation kicks in. You earn more, but you also spend more. The trick is to build the habit of saving consistently, no matter your income level. Even small amounts saved regularly in your 20s can beat larger amounts saved later on. Let's also talk about inflation, another reason why saving based on age is critical. The cost of living isn't going down. Rent, groceries, healthcare, education. It all keeps going up. If you're not saving and investing early, your future dollars will buy less and less. Saving now protects your purchasing power in the future. Another point people often overlook is life stage risk. In your 20s, you may not have many responsibilities, but by the time you hit your 30s and 40s, you might have kids, a mortgage, aging parents, or other financial commitments. Your flexibility to save aggressively might actually go down. That's why saving more in your early years, even when it's tough, pays off. It gives you a cushion for later, when life gets more complicated. And there's something psychological at play here too. When you're in your 20s or 30s, and you know you've already saved a solid amount, you walk around with a different level of confidence. You feel more in control, more secure. That emotional benefit is huge. Financial stress is one of the biggest causes of anxiety and relationship problems. Hitting those age-based savings targets gives you peace of mind. Of course, not everyone starts in the same place. Maybe you're starting late. Maybe you had student loans, medical debt, or simply didn't know how important this stuff was until recently. That's okay. What matters most is starting now and understanding where you stand. These age-based milestones aren't meant to shame anyone. They're here to help you measure progress and set realistic, achievable goals, so you don't end up in a financial hole later in life wondering where all your money went. Because the truth is, money habits are easier to build when you have a clear roadmap. And that roadmap is exactly what we're diving into next, what the actual savings numbers should look like at every stage of your life, from your 20s all the way through your 60s and beyond. This isn't about being perfect, it's about being intentional, informed, and proactive. All right, now that we understand why saving by age actually matters, let's get into the real question you came here for. How much money should you have saved by each age? What are the actual numbers? What are the benchmarks? Because look, knowing that saving is important is one thing, but without concrete goals, it's like shooting darts in the dark. You might be saving consistently, maybe even investing a little, but if you don't have a target to aim for, it's really hard to measure your progress, or even know if you're heading in the right direction, so let's break it down by decades. We're going to look at how much you should ideally have saved at different ages as a multiple of your income, which is what most financial experts and planners recommend. This method is powerful because it adjusts to your lifestyle and income level. If you earn more, your savings goal adjusts with you. If you earn less, the goal is still proportional. No unrealistic one size fits all numbers here. Just smart, flexible benchmarks that work across the board. Let's start with your 20s. By the time you hit 30, the general rule of thumb is to have the equivalent of 1 year of your salary saved. So if you're making $50,000 a year, your goal should be to have around $50,000 saved by the time you blow out those 30 candles. Now, that might sound like a lot, especially with rent, student loans, and life getting expensive. But remember, this includes all your savings and investments combined. Retirement accounts like a 401k Roth IRA, plus any high-yield savings account, it all counts. The key in your 20s is to focus on building the habit. Automate your savings, contribute consistently, and let compound interest do the heavy lifting. Moving into your 30s, the game starts to shift. You're earning more, maybe advancing in your career, possibly starting a family. By age 35, you should have 2 times your salary saved. By 40, 3 times your salary. This is the decade where most people feel the pinch. Expenses grow, responsibilities stack up, and it's easy to lose momentum. But this is exactly when staying disciplined matters most. If you keep increasing your income and avoid lifestyle creep, where your spending grows as fast as your paycheck, you'll stay on track. Now your 40s are all about catching the wind in your financial sails. You've got the benefit of time on your side, but retirement is starting to come into view, at least on the horizon. By age 45, experts suggest having 4 times your salary saved. By 50, 5 to 6 times your salary. This is where your net worth starts compounding in a serious way. You're likely investing more aggressively, your income has probably peaked or is nearing its peak, and your financial habits are hopefully well established. But this is also when many people realize they're behind and start to panic. If that's you, don't worry, there are ways to catch up, and we'll talk about that soon. But the benchmarks are clear. 5 to 6 times your income by 50 is a strong position to be in. Then come your 50s and early 60s, the final stretch before retirement. By age 55, aim for 7 times your income. By 60, that target climbs to around 8 times. And by the time you reach the traditional retirement age of 67, the goal is to have about 10 times your annual income saved. That might sound like a huge number, but remember, this is what most financial experts believe gives you the best shot at replacing around 80% of your pre-retirement income through a combination of Social Security, withdrawals, and investment returns. 10 times your salary means you can retire with confidence, not worry. Now, these numbers aren't about perfection, they're about direction. If you're ahead of these benchmarks, amazing. You might have the flexibility to retire early, travel, or reduce your work hours. If you're behind, don't panic. These are just milestones to guide you, not make you feel guilty. The worst thing you can do is ignore the numbers and hope it all magically works out. Something else to keep in mind, these benchmarks aren't just for retirement savings. They also help you stay financially resilient along the way. If you've got 3 times your salary saved by 40, you're not just preparing for retirement. You're also building protection against unexpected layoffs, health issues, or life curveballs. And that's why it's so powerful. Your savings at each age reflect more than just money in the bank. They represent your ability to handle life, to make choices with freedom, and to invest in yourself without being shackled by stress. This isn't about obsessing over numbers. It's about gaining control, building security, and setting yourself up to live life on your own terms. Because when you know your targets, you're not just saving. You're building a future you can actually look forward to. And that's where the next part becomes crucial. What if you're not where you need to be right now? What if life happened, or you started late? Well, that's exactly what we'll cover next. The smart, actionable ways to catch up if you feel behind on your savings. Because it's never too late to get back on track, so maybe you're looking at those benchmarks we just talked about and thinking, I'm way behind. Maybe you're in your 30s, 40s, even 50s, and your savings account doesn't come close to the recommended target. First of all, breathe. You're not alone. Life gets expensive. Careers shift. Emergencies happen. And a lot of people simply weren't taught this stuff early on. The important thing now is not how far behind you are. It's what you do next, because you can catch up. It's going to take some strategy, some discipline, and yes, some real effort, but it's absolutely possible. Let's start with the first thing, awareness. That moment when you realize you're behind isn't something to feel ashamed of. It's a wake-up call. It's your opportunity to take control, because here's the truth, most people never even look. They avoid their finances out of fear, and that fear costs them years of progress. The fact that you're even thinking about this already puts you in a better position than most. So let's lean into that and start building a plan. One of the fastest ways to catch up on savings is to increase your income. Now, that might sound obvious, but here's where most people go wrong. They only focus on cutting expenses. And yes, that's important too, but there's only so much you can cut. Income, on the other hand, can grow exponentially. That might mean picking up a side hustle, asking for a raise, changing jobs, or learning a new high-income skill that lets you move into a better, paying field. The key is to create more breathing room in your budget so you can save a bigger chunk of what you earn. When you're behind, every extra dollar should have a job, and that job is to help you catch up. But let's talk about expenses too, because sometimes the real power lies in reducing your fixed costs. These are the things you pay for month after month that don't easily go away. Housing, transportation, subscriptions, lifestyle expenses. If your rent or mortgage is taking up 40–50% of your income, it might be time to downsize or relocate. If you're driving a car with a hefty monthly payment, maybe consider switching to something more affordable. Cutting big-ticket items, even temporarily, can free up hundreds, even thousands, of dollars every month. And when you direct that extra money into your savings or investments, it accelerates your progress fast. Next, you've got to prioritize retirement accounts. If your employer offers a 401k match and you're not contributing enough to get the full match, that's literally free money left on the table. Take advantage of it. Then, if you have additional funds, consider maxing out your 401k or contributing to a Roth IRA. These accounts not only help you save, but they also come with tax advantages that supercharge your growth over time. And if you're self-employed or freelance, you're not out of luck. There are retirement accounts designed just for you, like SEP IRA and Solo 401ks. Now let's talk about investing, because if you're behind, Putting your money in a regular savings account just won't cut it. You need your money to grow, and that means investing it in a diversified portfolio that can beat inflation and build wealth over time. For most people, low-cost index funds are a great place to start. They offer exposure to a wide range of companies and generally come with low fees. The earlier you start investing consistently, the less pressure there is to hit some massive savings goal all at once. Time does the heavy lifting, but you've got to give your money that time by starting now. Another powerful tactic is to automate your savings. When you're trying to play catch-up, the best thing you can do is take the decision-making out of your hands. Set up automatic transfers to your retirement account, your investment account, or a high-yield savings account. Treat it like a bill, something that comes out before you even see the money. Automation removes temptation. You don't have to rely on motivation or willpower every month. It just happens. You also need to avoid lifestyle inflation. As you earn more, and you likely will, the natural tendency is to spend more. New clothes, fancier car, nicer apartment, more vacations. And look, enjoying life is important. But when you're behind on savings, every time your lifestyle expands, it delays your progress. The trick is to hold your lifestyle steady while your income increases. That gap between what you earn and what you spend. That's your opportunity. That's where your financial freedom is built. Another tool to consider is delaying retirement, even by a few years. Working until 67 instead of 62 might not sound ideal, but those extra years give you more time to save, more time for your investments to grow, and fewer years you'll need to fund in retirement. Plus, the longer you wait to claim Social Security, the higher your monthly benefit will be. And in some cases, delaying by just a few years can add hundreds of thousands of dollars to your retirement plan over time. And finally, stay mentally focused. One of the biggest challenges when you're trying to catch up is staying consistent and not burning out. It's easy to feel overwhelmed or discouraged. That's why it's important to celebrate small wins. Every time your savings go up, every debt you pay off, every raise you negotiate, it's a step forward. Progress fuels motivation, and when you stay focused on the bigger picture, those daily financial decisions start to feel less like sacrifices and more like stepping stones toward a better future. One of the hardest parts of saving money isn't knowing what to do. It's doing it over and over again, month after month, year after year. Especially when life throws distractions your way, when unexpected expenses come up, or when it feels like you're sacrificing enjoyment in the present for a future that's still years away. That's the silent struggle of personal finance, staying consistent without burning out. Because here's the thing, anyone can save money once. Anyone can get motivated for a few weeks after watching a financial video or reading a money book. But turning those habits into a lifestyle, into something you do automatically and effortlessly, that's what separates people who build long-term wealth from those who constantly start over. So how do you stay on track when motivation fades? How do you keep saving, keep investing, keep being intentional about your money when the excitement wears off? The answer starts with building systems, not just relying on discipline. Discipline runs out. Systems keep going. If you've ever tried budgeting manually every month, writing down every expense, calculating your goals, it can get exhausting. That's why automation is so powerful. Set your savings to transfer automatically the day your paycheck hits. Create a system where your 401k contributions increase automatically each year. Schedule regular investment contributions to your brokerage account, even if they're small. Automation takes emotion out of the equation. You don't have to feel inspired to save. It just happens. But consistency isn't just about the mechanics. It's also about mindset. One of the biggest traps people fall into is thinking they're falling behind just because someone else seems to be ahead. Social media makes this even worse. You see someone in your age group traveling the world, buying a new car, moving into a fancy apartment, and it gets in your head. You start thinking, what's the point of saving if I can't enjoy life now? But what you're not seeing are the credit card balances, the stress behind the scenes, or the years they might spend paying off that lifestyle. Comparison kills consistency. The truth is, financial success isn't loud, it's not flashy. It's the quiet decision to put away $300 when you could have spent it. It's saying no to one more dinner out, not because you can't afford it, but because you value your future more. And once that becomes your default way of thinking, the need for willpower fades. Saving just becomes who you are. Still, no one can go all in forever without feeling overwhelmed. That's why it's important to build space for flexibility. It's okay to spend, in fact, it's healthy. Saving money shouldn't feel like punishment. It's about prioritizing your goals while still living your life. Set up a guilt-free spending account. Allocate a portion of your income toward experiences or things that genuinely bring you joy. When you plan for enjoyment, you reduce the risk of blowing your budget out of frustration or burnout. Another powerful habit, tracking your progress visually. It sounds simple, but having a visual reminder of how far you've come can keep you going when your motivation is low. Whether it's a spreadsheet, an app, or even a chart on your wall, seeing your net worth grow, your debt shrink, your savings milestones get checked off, that builds momentum. It reminds you that your efforts are paying off, even when it feels slow. Let's also talk about routine check-ins. Every 3 months, sit down by yourself, with a partner, or even with a financial advisor, and review everything. Are you still on track with your goals? Did your income or expenses change? Do you need to adjust your contributions? Financial plans shouldn't be rigid, they should evolve with your life. These check-ins keep your strategy aligned with your reality, and they help prevent small problems from becoming big ones. But the most underrated part of staying consistent is having a clear why. Why are you saving? What are you building toward? It can't just be retirement 30 years from now. That feels too far away. Your why needs to be personal. Maybe it's the freedom to travel without debt, the peace of mind that you can handle emergencies without panic, the ability to retire early, help your family, start a business, or simply never feel trapped in a job you hate. When you tie your savings to something meaningful, it's easier to stay the course. And finally, you've got to give yourself permission to start over when things go off track. Because they will. Life happens. There will be months when expenses explode, emergencies hit, or income drops. You might have to dip into savings. You might fall short of your goal. That doesn't mean you failed. What matters is that you restart. Financial consistency isn't about being perfect, it's about coming back to your plan again and again, no matter how many times life pushes you off balance. When you accept that, you don't just build wealth, you build resilience. You build a system that works in real life, not just on paper. So here's the bottom line: saving money by every age isn't just about hitting some magic number. It's about building a life with more choices, more freedom, and less stress. Whether you're just starting out in your 20s or playing catch-up in your 40s or 50s, the key is being intentional. Knowing where you're headed, understanding what you need to do to get there, and most importantly, taking action. Start where you are, not where you think you should be. Use the benchmarks as your guide, not your measuring stick. Adjust when life changes, save when you can, invest when it makes sense, and keep moving forward, even if it's just a little bit at a time. Because every dollar saved is a brick in the foundation of your future, and the best time to start building that future is always now. If you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe. Leave a comment telling us what age you're currently at and how close you are to your savings goal. And remember, this journey isn't about perfection, it's about progress, and you've already taken the first step just by being here.